On the latest episode of Eddie Griffin's podcast, The Butt Naked Truth, the comedian spoke on politics and how he doesn't like the Democratic Party because he doesn't like sneaky racists. He prefers his racism right in his face. Also, this past week, Ice Cube was a guest on the Full Send podcast where he echoed a similar statement as Eddie Griffin. Ice Cube said that the black community has supported Democrats for the last few decades and nothing has changed. Because there doesn't seem to be any progress with black issues, it brings up the question, is it time for black people to leave the Democratic Party? Today we have our comedy hype analysts, Danielle Miller, Capone, and Pierre calling to the show to give their thoughts and reactions. But first, let's take a look at this clip.
I just went to LA last weekend.
Oh, well, yeah, because you're in California. You're in the Democrat state. I'm sticking with the reptilicans. I like my racism right in my face. I don't like sneaky racists. And that's them Democrats. I like a dude to be a dude, a chick to be a chick. I'm identifying as a bird. We'll fly somewhere else.
Now, Pierre, we've talked about Eddie Griffin on the show before, on his podcast. I'd love to know what's your reaction to it, and also what are your thoughts? Do you think it's time for black people to leave the Democratic Party?
Well, I agree with Eddie Griffin. I like to know what you are. Anything in life. We all don't like anybody who's gonna hide something. We kind of want you at face value. But we live in a world where people are ostracized if they tell you who they are, how they really feel. So people are gonna keep a lot of that to themselves. It's not gonna be because we don't accept for you to be open as we should be. The Democrats, the blacks leaving the Democratic Party, I think we've been there long enough, and I think a lot of people who just automatically vote for a Democratic, person. Democrats are more about sharing the wealth. Republicans are more about getting the wealth. And since we're not in a lot of positions to get the wealth, we feel like we've always needed to be around people who want to take care of us, give us, government subsidies. And where Republicans are like, go out there and get your own, get your own. We'll help you get your own, but get your own. Well, we've been on so many years, we weren't in a position to get our own. And that's why we weren't too much. But now people are getting their own. There's more black businesses. And Democrats are more into giving breaks for businesses, and there are more black businesses. So I can see blacks wanting to move on over to Republicans because it's more now about get that money, get that bag. And Republicans always been about getting that bag. So I can see, I think it's time for us to move on, for those who are willing to get that bag and have businesses a la Capone. And I don't have red on today because I'm a Republican.
I was gonna say, I know it wasn't on purpose, but I do find it funny how both you and Capone have on the opposite party colors. So Capone, I have no choice but to come to you next. What's your reaction to Eddie Griffin, and also, what are your thoughts? Do you think it's time for black people to leave the Democratic Party?
I agree with Pierre. My thing is, what party has ever done anything for black people, period? And what is the reason for the separations of the parties? You never really understand what is a Republican or a Democrat. It's just names that they put in there to cover a certain criteria of people. But I don't really see a difference. I don't at all. And I think that, and you made a statement, is it time to leave? Leave where? And can we create our own? Is there a possibility that we can create our own? If not, what is the difference? You vote for who you're voting for. None of them do nothing for us anyway.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people agree with that. Now, Danielle, we have Pierre and Capone agreeing with each other today. So today is, it's off to a great start. Let me bring you in.
They always agree with me. Come on now, they always agree with me.
It's always a big deal. It's always